T-minus 2 minutes, you guys.
What is this on?
This is on YouTube right now. We're on YouTube.
Good. Mine will be on Facebook.
Okay, good. Gotta put this on silent, you guys, if you're watching, so it doesn't go all vibrating and ringy ring when we start in another 1 minute. T-minus 30 seconds, you guys. We're about to come in here hot. What number is that one?
Number.
This one? Here? 5 and I don't know what that number is. This is 5.
Throw them all on, to be honest. This one right here. It is.
I think it's on the base.
Oh yeah, 3.
5 and 3. Hello and welcome to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams, and in the house is homie Brian McKenzie. Say hello, Brian.
What's up, guys?
Hey, so we're here on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We've got a great show going for you. And my first thing that I want to jump into is I want to encourage you all to make sure that you do not lose faith in our nation, because the nation is made up of people, and without the people, it is nothing. We see right now that the direction of our government and the way that we are going is not probably the best that most people would like it. But the only way to actually push our country forward in a positive direction is to get involved. That is what we need to do. So more than ever, if you're not registered to vote, go get registered to vote. Go to your local board of elections. Reach out to your local elected officials and find out how you can get registered and get active, because that's how we're going to go forward in this nation. And more so than that, when you have an issue that you feel very strongly about in our nation, you have to get out, you have to get involved, you have to go to town committee meetings, you have to go to city committee meetings, or wherever your meetings are, you have to go to city council,
Find out who supports it and who doesn't, who's against it.
Yeah, and the most important thing is having your voice heard. And don't be afraid to address elected officials that do not share the same views or points of view that you do, because you are the constituent, you are the citizen. They work for you, so especially if they disagree or they push policies against what you're believing in,
especially
that's what you need to do.
If you voted for them for a reason, because they ran on a particular issue and now they're not doing that or going against it, make sure you call them out. They need to be called out, because we all know that, politicians, most of them will do anything to get elected, obviously. And it's not always, on the up and up and straightforward. And a lot of times they're going to act like they're so independent, and they're free thinkers. They're going to do what my constituents want. Then they get in there and they do what the party wants. So,
well, you know what? A lot of times it's not even what the party wants. It's what benefits themselves best, and what benefits their pockets and their benefactors.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, it's so concerning.
Well, I said the route in Congress, I guess these days, is you go in and you have all these values and morals, and you're good, and you do what you're supposed to. You're like, I'm solid. Then 2 terms in, oh, I'm getting out of Congress to go take a board position here, then they come back worth 20 million 4 years later, and they're back in Congress, and wait, their ideology changed, believe it or not, right?
It's amazing. And you know what? Some people, it doesn't take that long even.
No.
It's right after they get elected. They sell you a dream. They get elected. They push forth none of the policies. They stick by none of their campaign promises, and nobody holds them accountable. And that's why
Absolutely.
it's up to you as the citizen, as a constituent, to hold them accountable. Reach out to their office. Call them on their number. It's online. You can find this stuff up. Just search it out. And you have to hold them accountable, because if you don't, once they're in office, nobody will. It's not just about the time when it's election. It's the in-between time when they're in office,
That's
when
what
you
really
need to
matters,
address them. Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember, we're not a democracy in this country. If we were a straight democracy, we would be voting on every single topic that came up. Oh, we want a stop sign there? Let's all vote, and see what happens. And then we also would have 51% of the, population basically oppressing 49%. So there was a reason we went with the Democratic Republic.
That's why we have a Bill of Rights and a Constitution.
And in this, though, we still elect someone to represent us at multiple levels. Again, represent us. He's not representing himself. She's not representing herself. She is representing us. So when
don't forget they and those.
They and those. So when we vote someone in, now, don't get me wrong, if they ran on something and you just don't like it and they're doing that, well, at least you knew. That's how they felt. Okay, it was one issue, you didn't like the way they did it, but hey, they ran on it, they were honest. But for them to start doing what nobody wants is not okay. They are representing us. And believe it or not, I don't like the guy, but Chuck Schumer actually shows a lot of face to his constituents. He comes, even in Western New York, he comes a lot and talks to people. Not that he's not whatever, but the fact is, there's certain politicians who never show their face in their congressional area or their state or whatever.
Let's talk about Schumer and move forward. Real quick, I am not a big fan of the majority of the policies that Schumer pushes.
Correct.
Now, and it seems that a lot of the policies, especially when it comes to funding, seem to go to very much so special interests and individual companies that many times seem to be backing him.
Yep.
And actually are relation to donors of his. So that's concerning. Now, while we understand that that is the way that the game is played, that just more so means that we as people who are the citizens that are under his directory, we need to be the ones standing up and saying, hey, this is the direction that we want going. And we have to hold them accountable.
Exactly. Now, him showing face, like I said, doesn't equate to him doing what we want. That's another game they like to play. They're gonna smile, shake everyone's hand, kiss a baby, and then just take me home, take me to my racquetball court, take me to my gym, take me here, because there's a lot of people out there who don't do their research, who don't understand what's going on, who think because they voted for this guy and he's got a D next to his name or an R next to his name, oh, he's good, he's going to do everything I want. That's not true. I mean, and that's something we have to get out more in this area. Whether you're a Democratic strategist or a Republican strategist, you need to let people know that, erase the R and the D. Find out what people are all about.
Well, nobody really cares what people are all about, and that's part of the problem in our government. We've got this very large issue where the interest of the common people, of the working people, of the struggling people, and of businesses is not being addressed, especially if you're a small business. Don't get it. Oh my goodness. They're out here, especially in New York State and places like California, and you got Colorado too. They are out here eviscerating the working class, the middle class, and small businesses. And we see that they say they've got all of these social policies, especially the Democrats, that are going to benefit you. They're going to benefit your life. They're going to benefit your business. But seems somehow inflation is up in these places.
It's not going to advance you in any way. It's just going to benefit you, for a minute. What
about the businesses that are losing employees and are being forced to close down because of the oppressive taxes and the push for increase in minimum wage, which is not substantiated by a equal decrease in income tax? Hello, can we talk about decreasing income tax?
Exactly. I mean, try to start.
Or removing it.
You know more. You know better than anyone, Mark. You had a business. Try starting a business as someone from the inner city and as a minority, starting a business in you know, with where you made your own money, you're trying to invest. You invest money in that business, then you realize you got to come up with more money.
Yeah.
There was, at least with the last administration, they started the deregulation of all this nonsense with opportunity zones, but they came right back. There's regulations all over the place that people don't understand. Regulations that would kill you.
Yeah, and then you get all the business taxes, this tax, the insurance tax, this tax, and they'll trick you with some of the names too.
Yeah.
And they'll say that, oh, it's business insurance, it's employment insurance, but really it's an additional tax. And the people are paying all of these taxes when it comes to buying services and goods, because that cost is getting passed on to the consumer, because businesses aren't able to bear that complete weight. And people say, oh, well, if your business can't afford to pay this, they shouldn't be open. And then where shall those employees work? That's my question.
And you know, and what did I just do with my life savings that I invested?
Poof,
all
gone,
because
to
I
the wind.
can't afford to
Oh,
pay
to the
something I
government.
didn't even know about? You know, I mean, it's not only that, but they sell your information as soon as you file your LLC and stuff. You get to 100 pieces of mail the first week, and you're like, oh my God, it looks legit from the government, but really it's just companies trying to get business from you, to pay money, for you to pay money.
And the big problem with it is this, very simply, and I'm going to say this very plainly so everybody watching and listening can understand. The biggest issue with starting a business, especially a small business, is when you want to do it right and you're starting to get into it, you learn very quickly that it is aggressively expensive and time consuming to do it the right way and in order. So I applaud everybody out there that's running a small business right now, especially in states like New York that are being oppressed by the government, trying to do what's right, but continue to get kicked in the teeth as they're moving forward.
Oh yeah, we had a restaurant for 16 years, my family, and my parents were dead set on, we're doing everything right. We're going by the book. We're not going to break laws. We're not going to stay open till 4 a.m. We're not going to do this. And you know what? We saw other bars really benefiting from breaking laws. And so it was hard, but we maintained, you know, being law abiding. And what happens after like how many years of business? The state liquor authority, who's supposed to be a partner of these bars, not just against them. They run bust after bust. We get fine after fine for them pulling some dirty trick. It was just ridiculous. The point is it's like they're looking to put you out of business. It's like, here, you gotta catch every curveball we throw, or you're going out of business.
Well, you know what
are you supposed to do?
You know what? That goes back to licensing and regulations, which there's too many licensing issues and regulations, especially in states like New York State and California. And you wonder why businesses are fleeing to places like South Dakota and Florida and even some parts of Texas. Not all parts of Texas. Because they're turning real blue down there. It's purple already. It's scary.
They got like chicken pox of blue.
Yeah. Major metropolitan areas.
Austin, stuff like that.
What we're seeing is the purpling of the nation, because people are fleeing blue states with blue ideals, and they are taking them to red states because they are going there for more freedoms, they are going there for more opportunity, but they're taking the same policies that destroyed the state and the areas they came from.
You're not seeing anything come the other way. It's just one way.
So where will they go after that, after they destroy it there with their policies?
My guess is Brazil.
Well, Brazil is going far left anyway, and that's a whole nother
we don't even want to talk about
Bring
that
back
election.
Bolsonaro.
Yeah,
okay?
we don't even want to talk about that election. So
bring back don't what? Oh, or well, at least the people stood up down there.
Exactly.
At least the people stood up.
Well, at least we went down there. You know, unbeknownst to anybody in America, we went down there to make sure they knew how to run free and fair elections.
Listen, what was her name? I just saw your the homegirl. What's her name? The heavyset one from Georgia.
Stacey Abrams.
Stacey Abrams. Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
She was in Kenya. You know what Kenya was doing down there? Having an election. She was down there in Kenya showing them how to run an election, because the elections in Georgia, where she came from, were so clean and fair. Wow. You know, it's very interesting, these people that take these policies and they go around gallivanting and pushing their policies and their methodologies to other places that have destroyed the areas in which they've come from.
Everything we touch, when it comes to government and other places, they're not.
It's like reverse Midas.
Yes, yeah, right. It's like the Biden touch, the Bidas touch. But it is crazy to think about the fact that
reverse necromancy.
We go in there and just put our will into that. Your government's wrong. This is how you do it. that works for us. Might not work for a heavily Islamic state that doesn't believe in the same things we believe.
Oh
in.
no! What are you talking about? Exporting democracy all across the world when we're not even a democracy?
Right?
We're a republic. Which, if you are a Republican or a Democrat, I need you to understand that we are a constitutional republic, or if you prefer, a representative republic. But we are a republic nonetheless. So when you see a Republican or a Democrat get up on the TV, get up on the radio, and they tell you that we've got to fight for democracy or we've got to do this, they are not being truthful to you, because we are not now, nor have we ever been, a democracy. And then they're talking about exporting something to other countries that don't even care about the way that we're operating. They just care about their traditional values that they have where they're from.
Well, they say democracy because if they said what we really were, then people would look that up and realize, wait, this person can't ruin our democracy because it's set up as a constitutional republic that one person can't just ruin. So that's why they don't want you to understand what we really are, because it's not, you're not able to just, Trump's going to eliminate Congress. Oh yeah, really? That's what he's going to do? Just
listen. So here's a problem with that, right? And I don't want to belabor the point on January 6th and the whole situation there. But here is a very important thing. They said that January 6th, they like to imply insurrection or a coup or whatever. Okay, I hear that conversation. But here's the deal. If you are in power, how can you overthrow yourself? I feel like that's abdication. Like, you can do that. It's one of the kings. One of the kings is queen, I think, in Europe is about to abdicate because she's too old, and then her son is going to take over as the king. But that's abdication. Yeah. But if you're in office, you can't overthrow yourself. So when
he went home, did
he
storm the White House and take over the Oval Office too? Because he was already there. So.
He was going to boot himself out. That's what was really going down.
I'm looking for a guy 6'2", 6'3".
And words matter.
Yes,
words matter so much because it's the way that you think. I got an email about Google advertising the other day. Did you see that post that I put up?
No, I think I probably missed that one.
So check this out. So when January comes, they always update their terms and conditions, and this is very concerning. So they said they're updating their, I think it was a sensitive arrangements or whatever it was, policy, and they're saying that you can't say stuff that they consider to be conspiracy theories or stuff that might be against civil unrest or stuff that might be in relation to global health crises or stuff that might be considered to be anything against the man.
Wow.
It's very concerning. It's very concerning because they can't say that they say that you can't blame one side over another for an incident that may possibly happen, or you can't talk about weather disasters. These are all things that are listed on here. So what it's saying is it's a limitation of the wording that you can use, the phrasing that you can use, which is thereby limiting the amount in which you can think and reason.
And it means they can recognize what you represent by the wording you use, and if they don't like what you represent, you're gone.
So T-Mobile and Google and stuff are actually doing that through their phone services. So T-Mobile's now, they've got it where they'll fine you up to $3,000 if you say something in a text message or on a phone call that they deem is against their policies. I sent a text message the other day on Google Fi, and they're like, oh, well, you can't send that text message because it violates our policies. I said, I can't send a text message. So now I'm having a text conversation with somebody, and I'm going off on Google in the text message. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Google's reading my texts and sending me crazy stuff. And I'm like, but they don't understand the context that I'm in. They don't understand my relationship with this individual.
Yeah.
They don't understand the nuances of the culture or the things that we have that are in common.
Exactly. That's speech. You're trying to suppress speech. Every drug dealer in the city is texting their and stuff.
So it shows you that. What about all the child trafficking? If they wanted to shut it down, they would.
I watched the movie last night, by the way.
Where's all the illegal firearms coming from? You can't buy them from a gun store.
No.
Okay, you can't buy them from a gun store.
And they're not all stolen from cars.
They're not stolen from New York State, for instance. But you look at the top 5 gun crime cities in the United States. And they have the highest rate of gun crime, but they also have the strictest regulations against firearms.
Strictest.
And if you remove them out of our nations, as far as statistic goes, we are the second from the bottom on violent crime and gun violence in the world.
These states with their gun laws, which I had written down to talk about anyways, they actually make it harder for the inner city law-abiding citizens, which represent 98, 99% of the city, and these people are
You
scared to
deserve the
death,
Second Amendment.
right? And,
Yeah.
and they cannot even get a gun because they've made it so hard in highly populated areas, cities, and the cost now.
Oh,
to get
cost
it-
prohibitive. Yes.
So, I mean, you look at, you say, well, listen, we know that guy down there has an illegal gun, and we're gonna take it away though, and let him go, he'll get another one, don't worry. But you, no,
law-abiding citizen.
just call the police if something happens. Okay.
Wait, you mean call the police, which they defunded, demoralized, and disincentivized, and now
Yep.
there are not enough of them, and people don't even want to go out to the police force? They're not
No, of
applying
course
to it in the
not,
numbers
yeah.
they used to?
I mean, it's crazy.
You mean we got to call them who are already overworked, okay, overworked, and now I saw a conversation. The police are overpaid. I said, really? I said, they're overpaid. I said, okay, fair enough. I said, fair enough. I said, would you take that job? They said, no, I wouldn't take that job. I said, that right there is why they're offering the pay
Yes,
that they're
yes,
offering.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
because it's hard to get somebody to do that job. I very much so support law
Oh, yeah.
enforcement. But one of the things that we have to recognize as a sovereign state and as sovereign individuals is that we have God-given rights in this nation.
Of course.
One of those is the right to defend ourselves, okay?
As a militia or by yourself.
Or by yourself, yes.
Mhm.
And that is a God-given right. That's not a state-given
Nope.
right. That's not a government-given right. That is something given by the Lord, our Father above. And that is enshrined in our Constitution. That is enshrined in our Declaration of Independence. And that is enshrined in the rest of our founding documents preceding us being called the United States.
Yep. Our documents, when they said we have the right to form small militias to defend, what was it, against foreign countries? Was it against Australia? Was it? No, it was against our own government. Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm not saying. We need to go shoot at the government. Don't take my words out of context by any means. But what I'm saying is that
Tip them over, pour them out like a teapot.
our founding fathers knew that as long as the people had the power, our government couldn't oppress us to the extent where we see in other countries. But what do they try to do? Slowly take away that power.
Well, did you see what just happened? The Democrats, one of the ones from, I want to say it was Brooklyn. Don't quote me for 100%, but I'm fairly certain it was Brooklyn. Introduced a bill in Congress to eliminate your ability to form militias in the United States domestically. But it's right there in the Second Amendment. It says that we have the right to form militias.
They're going to tell you a militia
Right
is a
there.
bunch of horrible far right people with their trigger happy finger, and they're going around committing terrorism. That's their definition that they're going to explain to everybody. When in reality, it's a neighborhood watch group. It can be anything. I mean, it's people who want to live free and don't want. The government has two major responsibilities: defend us against foreign and domestic harm, and protect our rights. There you go. That's the two major things they're supposed to do.
I don't even think that the government has, especially the federal government, has any part in defending us against any type of domestic harm.
I think you're right. The domestic's more local government and stuff. Yes, but so foreign
They've got
invasion, anything like
they're
that.
supposed to do the military and they're supposed to do international trade. And I gotta be honest, I don't even really think that the government should be dealing with international trade.
No, I agree 100% with that.
It should be on a state by state basis. I mean, let's take Texas for example. If you take Texas, their economy outside of the United States, just separated from the United States, they are the fourth largest economy in the world.
It's crazy.
In
crazy.
the world.
Yep.
They should be able to make their own international trade agreements.
Mm-hmm. Well, what we.
Well, that'd be like state having their own power and.
Well,
stuff.
we have people on the far left saying, comparing. Well, this country did this and it works so well. That country has less revenue and less GDP than Delaware.
Less people,
than Delaware,
less territory, less square mileage in area.
It's crazy. So it's like subsidized healthcare. It's just, I mean, it's impossible.
The whole of Europe, all of the countries in Europe could fit in the United States, and we'd have still space left for parts of Middle
baseball
Asia.
fields, do some things. Yeah,
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is definitely crazy. But let's roll on top. Why don't you start things kicking off?
Let's get going. You know what today is? Do you know what today is, Brian?
It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Absolutely. Martin Luther King Jr. is hailed as a civil rights hero and icon. I'd like to touch on that as a reminder today that we're coming up very fastly on Black History Month, okay? And Black History Month is interesting month. because Black History Month is not only the shortest month of the year, okay, somehow the alphabet people get 2 months. 2 months in 2 separate parades.
I always think it's that month. I'm like,
and then they get a third month now
Yeah.
because now there's the trans month or whatever it is, which is very interesting. I don't know how that all works.
I got to research it. I'll let you know.
Look, they've got like 6 months of the year now. It's insane. But you know, looking back on our history during the Civil Rights Movement, I think that it's been lost on a lot of people. And I've been reading posts, and they try to attribute what happened during the civil rights and the rights that came out of that to the Democrats. When we talk about policy in the civil rights era, that was the era where all the Republicans were putting forth these bills so that there could be civil rights, there could be voting rights and stuff like that. And the Democrats vehemently were against them. You know, and
that's public record.
That's public record. You can go look it up. I encourage you to go look it up. I mean, we go back a little while before, then we go back to Jim Crow era. It was all Democrats that put those laws into effect. Correct. We go back before that, slavery. The Democrat Party was founded, and this is, I'm not hitting on Democrats, I'm just stating policy.
We're just stating truth compared to lies.
So when you go and you look at the Democrat Party, it's split from the Democrat-Republican Party, and they split solely because of slavery. Because Andrew Jackson, okay, the person who started the Democrat Party, who was called the jackass, okay, that's why like a donkey. That's why the logo for the Democrats has been a donkey. That's why it's a donkey. So, which is amazing, and people don't know the history thereof.
No, they're like, look, a donkey.
So this is very concerning that people don't know the history of our nation. And I encourage you to go look up the policies, to go look up our documents, to go look up the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, don't just believe a post on Facebook.
Right, and who actually voted for what and the parties that they were a member of. Because we have to remember that Lyndon B. Johnson took the presidency after JFK was assassinated, okay? And he was one of the most racist, presidents ever outside of Andrew Jackson. Okay, outside of the Indian killer Andrew Jackson. Let's put his whole name in there, right? The Indian killer Andrew Jackson, which was his nickname, which he was proud of, which is very concerning.
Oh, yeah.
But Lyndon B. Johnson was super racist, and if you look up, I did a whole 13-page paper on him in high school. He was a very interesting character. Very, very interesting.
Look for ways to suppress certain people.
Well, he was a great politician.
Yeah,
this dude was a great politician. He knew how to play the game. He had a photographic memory.
Convinced people he was going to rescue everybody. Records,
but he was super, super racist. So during his time in office, he tried to play like he was concerned about civil rights. And all of the policies that he as a Democrat implemented harmed Black constituents and Black citizens in America.
That's why many are in the situation they are right now. It's not because of slavery. Not because of slavery. The Black population rebounded very well, even during segregation. Their wage was going up. Their two-parent homes was higher than white people. It wasn't slavery. Although slavery was horrible, don't get me wrong. But after segregation, it was the welfare state that put people where they are now.
There's an older lady I was talking to once, and she said, the worst thing that happened to Black people ever was desegregation. And I wanted to immediately tell her no, and I had to sit with that for a second.
Right.
And I had to think about it. And she made a valid point. Before desegregation, Black people had their own schools, their own businesses, their own stuff. And I'm not going to say that it was evil.
No, it wasn't.
But here's the thing. They had their own.
Exactly.
They did not have to depend on the government for anything. They were taking care of their own community. And there's this big push now for people to do homesteads and to go off grid or for government-free land. And government-free land doesn't mean that the government gives away free land. It's land that is sanctioned off for the legitimate use of purposeful use outside of the government.
Which there's better ways to do things in. But we'll talk about that. That's
a whole other conversation for another day. So, but as we're looking at what the legacy of Martin Luther King and Lyndon B. Johnson, who tried to pretend like he was a friend of King, but he was also financing him. So it makes you wonder if he was leaning on King for some of the pushes that he was pushing, which ended up being counterintuitive to what was being propagated. We see things like deindustrialization of the city, which Lyndon B. Johnson pushed, the Great Society Project, which Lyndon B. Johnson pushed, which all destroyed the ability for Black Americans to actually fend for their communities and actually
Yeah.
do for their families. And this is where the rise of the welfare state came from. And people say, well, Marcus, we need welfare and stuff like that. Well, here's the deal. The number one thing that we need, not just as me being a Black American, but as a country,
Yes.
as all citizens need, is the government to stay the heck out of our business and keep their pocket out our wallet, okay,
Exactly.
and off our check. Okay,
Let us find opportunity and act on it.
you can spend your money better than the government can spend your money.
And
No
the
doubt.
government doesn't give you a ladder either.
No
so
doubt.
there's no ladder in anything the government's ever going to give you. So don't expect one.
And we could hit on Social Security and real quick. Just Social Security is always funded. Social Security money
Yeah,
comes
it's not going anywhere.
comes right out of the paycheck. So the question is why must we always work to cut Social Security spending?
Right?
So they've already raided the Social Security trust. This started to happen under Obama, and you wonder why we're in a situation with Social Security, because they're stealing the money. They're stealing the money to use it for other things. It's baffling.
It's like the Chicago school district with the COVID funds.
Bro, listen, look, we've got this whole thing where they're about to shut down the government and they're putting a continuing resolution. Understand that next month is February. We're supposed to be getting ready to start the new actual funding for next year.
Yeah.
We're supposed to, and they're still a year behind on the funding for last year. Now, here's what I have to say on that. The Democrats had power all this time.
Yes, yep.
Where was the funding bill for that the Democrats pushed? I've seen Jasmine Crockett get on the TV, and now everybody's all over her. Okay, oh, she stands up so good. Stands up for what? She's a Black lady being boisterous on the TV, and you think that because she's being boisterous and having a strong opinion and speaking vocally on something that she's right? Are you serious? That we have to hold our elected officials to a higher caliber and actually listen to what they're saying and what's being implemented.
Yeah.
Don't forget what happened yesterday because of what they're telling you today. I know we as Americans have short memories, but we can't have that short a memory. And I want to thank you right now because you're listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. We appreciate that we have this opportunity to talk to you. Let's jump back into the conversation.
Right back.
So we've got all of this stuff going on with these continuing resolutions, and we're kicking the can, and this is all
You'd be fired
isn't it?
if this happened to any other private business. You'd be fired if you were the board members and this was happening, or if you were,
How do they say in office? How do they say? So for me, I'm gonna shut the whole thing down. Person, and people say, oh well, but the military and border control, and shut it down. I said what I said. I hear you. These people need to get paid. I hear you. But you know who still gets paid when there's a shutdown? Who still gets paid?
Congress, right?
Congress still gets paid. Congress still gets paid. They still get money in their pocket. How is that even possible?
And these other places still get paid. Just it'll take a few minutes. It's gonna be when they reopen they're gonna pay. But
this is the very large problem. They are not doing their jobs. And the deficit continues to balloon. We continue to fund foreign military campaigns that are not in our interest. We're not taking any territory. Why are we doing this?
We don't need to. We could have stopped this without a military. It's a whole nother conversation too. But the point is, we're kicking the can down the road until it gets to a point where we have to jump in looking stupid. I can't even deal with that.
Well, but where is all the money going?
Exactly.
Where is all the money going? They can never account for the money, and
they don't have to apparently.
You know, and this is part of the problem. How many gold-seated toilets are there out there, you know, that we're spending 25 grand on or whatever?
Well, AOC just said that they don't make enough in Congress. They do not make enough. I read it this morning. She
said that?
Absolutely, look it up.
You know, she said that we should make all illegal aliens, we should make them all citizens. Are you serious? We should deport all the illegal aliens. And I'm very firm on that because, hold on. I am very firm on deporting all the illegal aliens. I'll tell you exactly, specifically why, okay? I am a Black American, okay? My roots are tied to this country since before it was a nation founded as America. I am Native American, okay? My family can trace their roots to this country pre-slavery, okay? This is very, very serious for all of the people who have come up through this nation, through our founding, and to this day. We have to understand that right now, with the quality of the level of our school systems, that the majority of people that are coming out of schools, and I'm in the Rochester City School District specifically, we have people that are graduating that can't functionally read or write.
Insane.
So what jobs are they going to possibly get? basic entry-level jobs, if they can even get that. So who will they be competing with now?
The migrants.
They'll be competing with the aliens.
Illegal
Say
migrants.
They're not migrants.
Illegal migrants.
Okay, illegal aliens.
Yes, that's
Illegal,
what it is.
but they've been conditioning you
and
so
that's
much.
what they
keep
do with
saying migrants,
everything.
migrants,
You know,
migrants.
until you
It's
start,
not migrants,
I
it's
start
aliens.
even saying it.
It's I know. Look, they had me washing my hands a million times during COVID, and I knew that it probably wasn't the best, most healthiest thing for me to do, because you wash away all your layers of skin.
you're just making
you become more susceptible to
everything.
You know. So, and I was like, dang, but I know better than this. Why am I? Because it's repeated over and over again.
Yep.
The more you hear it, the more you start to believe it. We look at Maine, where they built all of these luxury apartments where illegal aliens are going to get 2 years of house.
How about the Brooklyn School District? Kids are remote learning.
Because they replaced them with 2,000 illegal aliens.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke when I heard it. I was like, this isn't true.
Do you know that the two priorities for the Rochester City School District this year are mental health and illegal aliens? Can you explain that to me?
That's solid.
First of all, neither of those are educational things, and I understand a lot of people that
math and reading, they're down below that.
Math? Who cares about math and reading? Who cares about science? Who cares about being able to
even sports and stuff like that? That don't matter.
No. Keeping kids engaged in education and being able to learn and become productive members of society? Absolutely not.
No.
Why would you want that when you can focus on things that you can rake more money in for?
Exactly.
You know, and
well, that's what it is too. A lot of it. You're right.
That's what a lot of it is.
Special interest groups getting money.
Exactly. And we've got all these illegal aliens here, but the problem is, and it goes back to what I was saying, it goes back to the fact that the people that are American citizens, okay, that have any type of allegiance to this nation, that understand that as Americans, we don't have another country to go. Nobody is taking us and giving us free stuff. They barely want us to go into any other country anyway.
Yeah.
They don't want us in Canada.
No,
so I mean, they don't want us in Canada, and they don't want us in Mexico either, which is a whole nother conversation for another day. So they don't want us in the two nearest countries to us. So why are we letting in all of these illegal aliens when we have nowhere to go? Our countrymen are suffering right now. And we look at it for what it is. These people will be competing against our citizens in a job market that is tightening very fastly, because as the prices rise, as the job costs rise, as the taxes rise, the number of jobs out there goes smaller and smaller and smaller, and automation is taking over, and other small businesses are being pushed out, so there are less jobs in the marketplace.
Well, you know, you heard Jerry Nadler, right? Well, he said why we need illegal.
Oh, I did a whole episode on Let's Talk with Marcus C. Williams on it. So if you're on YouTube, you guys, check out it's Let's Talk with Marcus C. Williams. You'll find me on YouTube, okay? It's on Rumble too. I'm on there, and I just did an episode, and I talked all about the illegal immigration. Go on.
Jerry Nadler says, he says, this is why we, like, literally, he said the quiet part out loud. He says, this is why we need illegal immigration to happen. Because our vegetables will rot in the ground.
That's what he said.
Because they won't be here to pick them, and they need to make babies.
Yeah,
we need to make babies.
So, okay,
Those two things, that's why.
On my show, Let's Talk with Marcus C. Williams, I played a clip of May of last year, May 23rd of last year, of him interviewing this guy from one of the Jewish people that helped the illegal aliens into the country. One of the things, you can check it out. I forget what organization was, okay? But the guy from that organization, and Jerry was coaxing him on, he was like, yeah, you know, we can't have them calling them illegal aliens and stuff, and there's this concept that it's replacement, and they're replacing Americans.
The replacement theory.
They're replacing Americans, and they're just not doing that. And then I flipped to the clip from the other day where Jerry's like, yeah, we need them to replace Americans because we're not having enough babies. And I'm like, that's not even 6 months. That's not even.
Did you forget, Jerry?
Did you forget what you were talking about? And
Come on, Jerry.
last year I did an episode, and I'm not able to remember which episode of Let's Talk it was. And we did a whole episode on Chuck Schumer getting up on Congress on the Hill, standing outside doing a press conference, saying that abortion is so important, we've got to get rid of all of the babies. In the meantime, he's encouraging everybody to illegally immigrate here. And I'm like, but you're trying to bring them in while you're telling us not to have babies, and we're not having enough babies.
We don't have enough babies
to actually sustain our growth that we need. We're having a negative birth rate in America right now, and you're encouraging people not to have babies. Somebody make that make sense to me.
I want to be a fly on the wall in their secret 12-story below ground dungeon when they have their meetings, because I mean, there's got to be some kind of plan
Who
here.
has the
Like,
passes to
right?
Cheyenne Mountain? How can I get in there when the stuff goes down?
It's just crazy. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. But that, they're starting to say the quiet parts out loud. That's the crazy part. Like the verbiage stuff, gender affirming care.
What's that? What's that mean?
Gender affirming care.
What's gender affirming care?
That means basically cutting off parts of your body, having the surgery, taking hormones that are going to affect you for the rest of your life.
You know, I saw this guy in New Hampshire, and he claimed to be a super uber liberal. This is him saying this out of his mouth. He's like, "Yeah, I support gay rights. I'm so pro-gay. I'll be pro-gay till I die." Da, 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 da. He's just lining up his record of how leftist he is, and he's like, "I'm a social activist and all of this," and he's presenting all of this, and he's like, "But cross-sex hormones and gender transition therapy for minors is wrong. That should not be done." And I was like, whoa, people actually coming out and talking sense. And this is why
Caitlyn Jenner said the same thing.
This is why I tell people, listen, not all Democrats who are registered as Democrats are bad people or are wrong on every single issue. But we, as people who are active and engaged individuals, need to understand no matter what somebody's registered party, we have to look at the effects and the impacts of their policies on society.
Correct. Because you might think that person has some good ideas, but their party may be in power in a certain house because they were elected, and that could hurt. That could really hurt. There's a lot of things in this with the government that I think people need to. You see the Michelle Obama interview the other day, which is like, people think like government doesn't matter at all, like they don't do anything. I said, well, who's that? Who thinks that government doesn't do anything? And then she goes, but they do matter. They do everything for us, everything. And she's like staring at everything for us. I'm like, yeah, that's what you want. I mean, it's
but that's part of the problem. And see, what I've learned as I become more and more politically active, what I learn is that most people don't know what any level of the government does.
Nope.
One of the biggest things, and we've got this presidential election coming up this year, that I want to encourage people to understand. The president is just a figurehead. They can just lay out a conceptualization of plans, but really where the biggest impact is in the bureaucracy that's behind the scenes.
The high money paid people.
Really moving things in the government, all of the alphabet
unelected career
and stuff like that. Yeah, they've got their own fiefdoms and they've got their own things that they're pushing for. But more so than that, where you can effectuate change is in Congress, in the House of Representatives, in the federal Senate. Those are the positions that have more power than the actual president, and that's where the policies and stuff comes from. That's where the funding and stuff comes from. So when they blame it on the president, no matter who the president is, Republican or Democrat, it's not really them. It's all on Congress.
Congress, exactly. Congress is that gate that it's got to get through to go anyway at all. Now it's the way it happens is the president has these executive orders, which executive orders are supposed to be used to bridge Congress making that a law.
They should be very sparse and in between.
Exactly.
But we've been seeing too many executive orders coming from the presidency like they're a dictator.
Right.
And I mean,
like
Biden
we can pay back student loans.
Biden in the first 3 months issued more than Trump did in his whole term.
In his first week, he was tied with them his first week.
And it's crazy as we see. And I didn't. Okay, and don't get me twisted. That I'm all pro one way or another. I'm pro the American people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pro the Constitution.
I'm pro what works.
Okay, and I'm pro policy that upholds the Constitution and is going to move us forward in a positive way that allows you to be able to keep the government out as much of your business as possible. Now, we understand that as the years have gone by, so we've got, what's his name, Bill Clinton, we've got George Bush, we've got Obama 2 times, we've got Trump, we've got Biden. More and more and more executive orders have been continuing to be used. And that is a very serious concern that we need to be looking into, because Congress, the people who really have control over
they
stuff,
legislate. That's their job.
They legislate, but more so than that, they're like, I don't care as long as it's in what I think is the best interest of my party.
Yes.
Not the American people, my party.
Even before that, with Obama, so he may have had less executive orders and everything, but if you notice that back then, the left was using the Supreme Court to legislate from the bench. So it was, if you look at the amount of decisions that just were unpopular ideas with the American public, but was the ideology of the left at that time, got pushed to the Supreme Court and voted because it was a very liberal court, which is a whole nother subject. And that's something that is really big if you look at it, but we'll get into that another day.
Listen, let's talk about this this politics and how it affects international affairs and how it comes back to us at home. Right now, just the other day, well, literally yesterday, I think we're on, what day is it? It's Monday, right?
Yeah.
It's Monday, so like 2 days ago.
I hope so, or we're doing the show on the wrong day.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so, just the other day, there was the presidential election in Taiwan. And somebody that's been very firm on Taiwan's sovereignty and them departing from China as a whole, as the People's Republic of China, because Taiwan is the national Chinese. Okay, it's the national,
yeah.
But a lot of people don't know the history there, and I'm not going to belabor that point. But understand that Taiwan is China. Okay, not China as we think of mainland China, because those are the Chinese communists. Taiwan China is the nationalist because there was a civil war in China, but that's a whole longer conversation. So they don't want to be part. They consider themselves to be a democracy or whatever. They're really a republic, but that's a separate conversation again. But they are in fear of their island being attacked and invaded by China, with China, mainland China, saying that they're going to reincorporate them because they're a rogue sovereign territory.
That's theirs. Basically, they're like, that toy is mine.
Now, the thing is that the U.S. is supposed to allegedly support Taiwan with aid and military aid and stuff like that.
And ambiguity as far as what we would do if they were attacked.
Exactly, which is very concerning and alarming because Taiwan is one of the biggest producers of microchips in the world. We get a large majority of our chips. If you've got a phone right now or a computer, the chips in there probably were made in Taiwan.
Yep.
So that's something that we need to look at. And in New York State up here, they've got the CHIPS Act, and they're trying to bring back manufacturing of the microchips. We're not going to get into that today. But they're trying to bring back the manufacturing of that here. But if there was a war over there, we'd be in a very serious situation.
Yeah, no kidding. Very serious.
And are we really going to defend Taiwan? Can we?
Can we now? Anyways,
do we have the armaments? We barely have the armaments to defend anything. And would not somebody, our enemies, see that as a way to take and siege on our extremities?
Correct. I've said that 100 times. I can totally see that. And
then the Philippines is like, yo, what about us? We've got these issues with China too, and China's getting bolder and bolder because their economy and stuff is taking a hit. So the Chinese premier was he the president now? I don't know. He keeps flip flopping between roles.
Supreme leader.
Yeah, right. The emperor for life, right? Yep. Xi Jinping over there, is talking about, we're going to reunify Taiwan and we're going to take over the whole South China Sea by the end of the year, and this, that, and the third. And Vietnam wants help and support.
Yep.
The Philippines want help and support. And Japan is over there quaking in their little
South
boots.
Korea always being like, hey, you're not leaving me. You're not leaving me.
Yeah. Honestly, and this is part of the problem that we have. North Korea, right? North Korea doesn't stand a chance against China.
No.
China is just waiting to have a piece of North Korea. Yeah. They're just waiting for it,
Right.
So, if we were smart, we would actually work on engaging North Korea more and starting to work
start sending him letters like, yo, he talked a lot of crap about you earlier at lunch.
But this is the thing.
Yeah.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and right now that's what they have with North Korea has with China. And they're like, oh, well, they don't like you and you don't like us, so we don't like you. Are you serious? We're not right at your back door.
Yeah,
we haven't already sent troops through your country in a previous war, okay? And we're not the ones that are trying to actually limit your ability to actually expand yourself and evolve yourself, because the fact of the matter is, if China wanted North Korea to become more powerful and more bountiful, they could very much so let them.
Absolutely.
So who's really keeping them in the dark outside of our embargo on trade and stuff?
Of course.
They're doing it. They don't want a strong North Korea.
No, they only get as strong as they let them. That's it.
Exactly. So we need to be, and I'm not saying that we need to be buddy-buddy with them, but I'm saying let's be honest and look at it. They don't like us because what? They're mad at the Vietnam War? The Vietnam War, a lot of people are still raw over that, but South Korea seems not to be so raw over that. What are they mad at? The Korean War?
Yeah.
The Korean War. Like I said, the Vietnam War. Yeah. Vietnam is our friend now.
Yeah.
South Korea doesn't seem to be so. I mean, and North Korea, I understand, but we need to ease tensions there so we can work on befriending them, because China is more of an enemy than little old North Korea, the hermit kingdom. That's a whole bunch of mountains.
Yeah.
And then leading.
Yeah, they're like a complete pariah, North Korea, where China isn't. They're all over, still. So. And
that leads me into what's going on in the what do you call it? The Red Sea over there, with Yemen over here attacking all of these ships, and the Israel issue and going on over there and stuff like that. We have just launched attacks with a coalition of the willing. That's a throwback,
there was
right?
a bunch of dudes that weren't willing too.
That's a throwback. Throwback to George Bush. But the sun. But this is a thing, and we launched an attack, and people are like, oh, how can you attack them? First of all, Yemen has been in a civil war for the last, I don't even remember how long now, decade or so, maybe even longer. I don't even know, honestly, what's going on over there, because we can't get the full concept, because we can't even really get the news of what's going on over there, and Saudi Arabia has been fighting them for some time. Saudi Arabia is an ally of us. I've never seen those pro-Palestinian protesters protest against Saudi Arabia.
True.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But going into the Yemen and the Houthis that are backed by Iran, which Iran had an attack against one of their military commanders' funeral places.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That was by ISIS.
Strategic bombs set up along the street
ISIS
there.
claimed that they did that attack. We're not going to talk about ISIS today. I got a lot I want to say about them, but we're not going to.
Meanwhile, we see one of our guys just walking out.
But anyway, so back to the Red Sea and the shipping, right? Because over here we've got the Suez Canal, which like 60% or 70% of the world trade goes through, something like that. It's a crazy amount as instead of going around the Cape of Africa and going down there, because it takes longer to do that.
Yep.
Right now, one of the biggest shippers, Maersk, am I saying it right? Maersk, okay. They're saying that they're from, I want to say they're from the Netherlands. I think they're based out of the Netherlands.
That I'm not sure.
But they're saying that they're Dutch, right?
Sounds good.
Sounds right. Okay, but they're saying that they won't do any of the shipping, okay, through that area.
Yeah.
So they're going all the way around Africa. So that's going to take how many extra weeks and stuff like that? We saw what happened. Remember what was it, the Evergrande or the Evergreen, the ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal?
Got lodged in there.
We saw what happened when trade was disrupted from there. So that crushed our supply chain.
Yeah, supply chains were just literally broken all over the place.
So what's going to happen now? And we are not feeling it right now immediately this very second, but we're going to be feeling it soon.
But we don't address things until we feel it anyway. So we just
so I'm telling you, as you are listening to this show right now, quote me on this. This is going to increase the cost in many goods in many different areas in the upcoming months. So be ready for it. It's probably going to happen in the next 3 months. As supplies start to run low, we'll see prices spiking in other areas because of this.
Again.
Okay? And this is going to, and it's not going to subside for weeks and months even, because think about that. If you can't get the stock that you need, how many businesses are going to be able to hold over for months?
No, they're not. And then once that stock gets in, now you still got to wait for the next stock. You're always going to be behind.
Have the money because you can't sell it.
Right, exactly. By the time there's a close sign on your door by the time it gets there.
Right. Now you've run out of money. So how many businesses and companies that are wholesalers and stuff are going to go out of business because of this? And we don't think of that as a greater whole impact.
Yeah.
And then where will those people work?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, where will you get those goods?
Yeah. Hey, can you come back to work now? It's here. But that was 3 months ago.
I can't even. They can't even pay you because they don't have the money, because you got to sell the stuff now to get the money. So now you got to work on.
You're going to work on commission. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I'll try to get you a draw on that, but we'll see what we can do.
And this is the things that we're not talking about. I've seen Biden out there toting all of these things. We've got now they're trying to appeal to the black community. We've got the lowest black unemployment rate since, first of all, the unemployment rate numbers are trash. They've always been trash. Okay, and that's under all presidents.
Workplace participation sucks.
Because it doesn't include the people who have just graduated and never had a job, or the people who have not graduated and have never had a job, or the people
left
who
voluntarily,
are not currently collecting social services. Exactly.
So and that's a lot of people. There's a lot of people don't file for unemployment. They don't.
And then I've seen them talk about, Biden is giving us all of this money because the the SBA is giving out all of these loans to black businesses, and they've given all these millions of dollars to HBCUs. First of all of that money came from acts that were inputted under the Trump administration. Okay, and that's not me cuddling up to Trump.
No,
These are just facts. These are just
look it up,
real
research
facts.
it
Look
yourself.
up.
I mean,
Trump was the one who made it so the HBCUs do not have to continually
10
go
years of
back
funding instead
to
of
funding.
1 or
Yes,
2. Yep.
exactly. So that they don't have to continually going back to Congress to get funding. So he did that. That's the money from him. The SBA, that money is from the CARES Act and the acts under when Trump was president.
Yep.
That's from him. That's where this money is coming from. And they're like, oh, the business is and it's a loan. You gotta pay it back. It's not a grant. They're not giving you money. And have you ever tried to apply for an SBA loan as a small business, as a budding entrepreneur?
I don't even bother.
Oh
It's
my
like-
God! Listen. It's crazy. If you don't have like a 700 plus credit score and 8 years
There's
of
like
trade
62
commission,
boxes, and you gotta check every one of them in order to get that loan. It's like, man, I missed out on this one.
a Duns Bradstreet score of,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
what's the other scores that you gotta have? And it's crazy.
It's
And most
insane.
business owners don't even know because they're like, how do I start a business? Okay, I've got an idea. I want to sell my little jewelry, or
Yeah.
I want to sell clothes or do hair or whatever. They don't know about these trade things that they should get and stuff like that.
No, exactly.
There's and they've got programs out there where they're supposed to teach and educate about that, but they're not. Nobody knows that they exist.
No.
If it's out there, and you don't know it
Most
exists, let it
business
go.
owners they're experts on their own product, but they're not experts by any means on business and running a business and financing a business and staying afloat. So it's
Yeah.
like they might have a great product, but they don't understand supply chains and things like that. It's
Yeah.
just-
You know, I had one of my businesses, because I've got multiple businesses. One of them was retail business, and we did cell phones. And that was at the time when we had been doing it for like 10, 11 years at the time. And then, again, the evergreen thing got large in there, so
Yep.
they couldn't get the chips to manufacture the phones. And remember, they couldn't get the chips
Yes,
for the cars
yes,
either.
yes, yep,
so
yep.
the cars were sitting on lots, tens of thousands
potato
of cars
chips.
with no chips.
Yep.
So they couldn't do that. And then now they're like, oh, and then with the cars, they're like, oh, well, now we're just going to lower the features that are in the baseline of
Yep.
cars, so we don't have to supply so many chips for them.
Yep.
Because that was a very serious issue, and that impacted our business. You know, and again, this goes to governmental policy. Why weren't we manufacturing the chips in America in the first place?
Exactly. I mean,
Like, what are we? I mean, the American people, I wouldn't say that as a whole we're geniuses, but I'd say that we're not dumb, and we know that
we do have a section of our sector of
you know,
our public that could do it. I promise.
We could produce that here, and we all know that it's easier to get stuff that you need from your local area than it is to go abroad and try to get it.
Correct.
You know,
correct.
and it takes less time. I mean, you don't got to be a genius swami.
Not to
understand
mention
that.
that for every product we start making here, it's less wealth we're giving to other countries.
What?
instead-
Less wealth to foreign countries?
Right? I mean, imagine that.
Comparison.
Imagine what foreign policy would be right now if there wasn't a bunch of countries that got rich, over the last few years.
Oh my goodness. So, but I mean, and this goes into a whole bunch of other international faults that we have giving money to foreign countries.
Mhm.
And for instance, one is Ukraine, which I've seen a very, very interesting thing in the last couple of weeks on that. There have been 2 peace conferences, and they're meeting in Davos right now. So in Davos right now, the World Economic Forum is going on right now.
Yep.
So if you don't know what the WEF is,
Oh man,
you need to get on
you want
that.
to
Oh
you want to
my
get worked up?
This
Watch
is-
watch
You
that.
gotta check that out, and we'll probably come back in the next week or so and talk about that, some stuff from over there. But they've been putting together a peace treaty and peace conferences for Ukraine. You know,
Wow.
guess who's not involved in those peace?
I can only take a wild guess, but maybe
guessed
us and Joe Biden.
Oh no, Russia.
Okay.
You know the opposite country that they're apparently
okay.
at war with.
You mean
know,
the actual 2 countries who are
the
supposed to
actual
be
2
involved?
countries
I
that
thought
are
you were talking
supposed to
about
be
like people
involved.
outside of that.
You know,
maybe.
no. Everybody else, 89 nations. 89 nations
Okay.
are involved in these.
But they're
peace
like Russia, you're out.
Yeah,
You're out.
Russia can't be involved in it. You know.
And Putin's like, I have to kind of agree to that.
Yeah,
before.
and all of these other countries are funding ammunition and stuff against Russia.
Mhm.
I mean, and the one country that could actually sign on to the peace deal, which then kind of makes you wonder if these other countries are getting together saying that they're coming up with a peace deal for Ukraine and Russia, and Russia's not involved, who is really waging the war over there?
Yeah, right.
That's
Interesting.
Oh my goodness. And then they're like, well, maybe we could get China involved, and China should be an intermediary, or maybe
Like maybe she get Russia involved.
Maybe directly engage with Russia.
Right, that's crazy. It really is. It's just the stuff, the lack of common sense that we now realize exists in our government. People who were, they just weren't into the government. They weren't into politics before. That kind of got into it over the last 4 years just because it's been such a show, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever. Now see how little common sense comes into play on every policy decision for most politicians. It's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. And it's concerning because all of those things that go international really impact us on a local level.
Yes, I had that written down earlier.
Because all of that goes into federal funding, and the federal funding is money that's coming out of your taxes. So if the federal government is spending money on something, that's less money that's in your pocket.
And you hear these people say, well, people are blaming Joe Biden for this, for high gas price. He doesn't go in and flip a switch and make the price. No, but policy affects everything.
Yes.
It's the policy made by him and Congress and everybody that affects these things.
Check this out, and you're going to love this. So out in Henrietta, right? Henrietta's been building up over the years. Henrietta is a suburb of Rochester, New York, in the metro area. So you live in Henrietta.
Yep.
So you've seen, all the buildings, all of the great shopping centers,
skyscrapers.
And stuff. Oh my goodness, Henrietta's really been on the come up. So apparently there's over 200 projects that are behind, both commercial and individual, that cannot go through because they do not have enough energy supply. They do not have enough energy supply to actually supply for these projects that they want to do, which is very interesting because over here in New York State, they're pushing all of this green energy and stuff like that.
Grids that would be a pure electric for anything.
Infrastructure for because they want everything to go electric, but they've got almost 200 projects sitting right, and this is one suburb.
It's the insanity of the people don't understand the insanity of this.
One suburb.
Yes.
You understand? And I heard that like 128 of those will be housing units.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know how many each project would have that would actually be units of housing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably more than
well more.
Yeah.
Well more.
So because most of the developments out there are multiple, like 32, 50.
Yeah, especially now, over the last few years, a push for that. So but you're right. It's crazy.
So the grid can't even handle the new construction that's coming on, and you're trying to push this all electric future on us. And the grid isn't ready for what we have right now.
So susceptible to whether it be an EMP or even a sun flare, anything, solar flare, I'll tell you right now, the government's pushing us to be 100% dependent on electric when electricity is the most vulnerable type of energy right now, the way our grids are set up. I mean, it's the insanity of it just it blows my mind. When I started looking into it the other day, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something, right? But I'm not missing anything.
You're not missing anything. So this is a very concerning part. As we move forward with this march to an all-electric system, the first question is why, right? So to have electric power, you need there actually to be a power source of power generation. We've got these solar panels all around the county, and one of the gentlemen who he's a meteorologist, he's been doing that for years. His name is Kevin Williams. Shout out to Kevin Williams. He looks at the solar panels and the percentage that they're doing for the water authority for the county all the time, and he always is posting it up or whatever. We're out there at 0.01%, 1% of the energy capacity production that they're doing out here right now.
Imagine if you use 1.1% of your energy capacity every day.
I don't even know that. Look, I just wouldn't turn on the lights,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Just lay there like.
No lights, no electricity, no computers, no nothing. Look, you couldn't even use a nose clipper.
No. You'd have to flip one light bulb real quick just to see where everything was still.
Look, I don't even know if it would do that, Like, I wouldn't even get a spark of light,
right? Crazy.
I did hear that if you flip the lights off and on, and this is one of the reasons why they say you might want to keep running the lights instead of flicking them off and on, because when you flick it off and on, it generates even more power than it does if you keep
it that's true. It's like starting a car compared to leaving it running and stuff.
So that's an interesting concept. But here's one of the important things that we have to remember. As we're moving forward, and I did an interview with a company that focuses on green energy the other day, and I was talking to them. And we were talking about the climate change and stuff like that. And I was like, one of the things that we need to focus on on a large scale level is we need to focus on hydroelectric, and we need to focus on nuclear power. Sources of renewable, continual energy generation that we know work, that are able to scale at capacity and don't have such susceptibility to so many elements. And this is a very, very serious thing. Maybe wind and maybe solar on a small scale.
Nuclear is the
deal.
It's the deal.
Nuclear is where it's at. Oh, I talk about that all the time.
But who hates nuclear? We know who pushed nuclear away. I mean, it's like, wait, you had the answer to what you want.
Bro,
it's right there.
I mean, we get a lot of our power from Ghana right now. I think it's probably the largest part of our grid for Monroe.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and it's working at what capacity? I mean, it's crazy.
It's not even so they won't even put the money in the investments for the upgrades that it needs to allow it to have more output.
Yeah, it could put out so much more than it's putting out now. It's crazy. It's insane.
I went to the county ledge in the beginning of their first session. I think it was on the 6th or something. And I went out there and I talked to them. I said, one of the things we need to focus on is we need to focus on local energy generation, and we need to focus on nuclear, and we need to focus on hydro. And this is very important. I said, because as we go into this all-electric future, we need something that's going to be a consistent source of energy. And we can sell off the excess that we make.
Right.
They say that the majority of nuclear plants make back the money that it costs to build them.
It's so efficient.
In the year.
Yeah, it's so efficient.
In the year.
Clean and efficient. What isn't that what you're looking for? Clean and efficient energy? Okay.
Listen, it's very interesting that all these people that push all of these very green ideas and concepts, like what's his name, Manchin and Bill Gates and all of these other very wealthy people and so-called Democrats, seem to be heavily invested in nuclear energy and in fusion energy somehow. But in the meantime, they're telling you wind turbines and
they got short-term investments in those too, though. That's why, because they know it's not going to be a long-term thing. So
exactly. So they're playing you, and you have to wake up. So I'm an environmental conservationist, so I look at all of this for the resources that it takes and where the resources have to go, and they're destroying the environment trying to harvest the stuff for these wind turbines and for these solar panels. And you should look at the conditions of the people's lives that have to farm these minerals and stuff.
In the
Democrat
on the side of the hill, it's
or
like,
in China, or in the pit mining where they have little small children. They make these. You saw the tunnels in Israel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You thought those tunnels were like tunnels.
Yeah, these are you got to be dwarfism.
You've got to literally crawl to get through these tunnels.
Yeah.
And there are so many collapses, and they have children working in them.
And they collapse a lot.
Okay, and they collapse a lot, and the people don't even make a cent a day. And I'm not even saying that hyperbolically.
No, it's
they
true.
Don't make a penny a day.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad. And then the stuff that isn't in the Democratic Republic of Congo or other parts of Africa are in China. And then look at they are organ harvesting people.
Forced labor there and all this stuff.
Labor and internment there, and it's stuff like, what is the impact that we're really having? And it goes, what the problem is it's sight unseen. So if we don't see it, it's not real. We don't care about it.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's very concerning.
And it's generating income for the richest, for these certain people.
Good.
Yep, from China. China generates income for certain people, and
Greta
people
Thunberg.
love it. So, and it's people who get a lot of FaceTime and have biggest platforms that people look up to. Oh, this guy's so great. Well, is he? Maybe you should look at who he supports and how he's making all his money.
I heard that Jim Carrey is John Kerry. Look, he's a comedian too. So
it's the same thing. It's a good thing.
Same thing, So John Kerry is stepping down from climate czar after the Munich conference.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah, I saw that. He's done.
With his 13 private jets.
He said he needed a couple more, so he just didn't feel right staying.
and oh my God, the motorcade that he drives with, and oh my God,
and that mansion on Chesapeake Bay where he actually said, no, we're not putting windmills here. Are you crazy?
Yeah. Oh, and dude, please don't get me started on in New York State. They had the windmills down I-90. It was like $32 million or something. And because the state knew so much better than the engineers, they're like, we're going to put them here and we're going to do them this way. And the engineers are like, you can't do them that way because they're going to break. And then the state was like, we do what we want. You do what we tell you.
Our guy said they won't break.
And then all the windmills broke.
Yep.
Over, I think it ended up being like 50 million at the end of the day.
It became a windmill graveyard.
And then none of them work. And then what about all of the resources that went into getting them there? What about the environmental impact?
Have you seen the transportation of them? I mean, it takes like bunch of trucks just to carry one. It's got 2 trucks carrying one big blade. I'm just like, whoa.
It's amazing. It's amazing, and then you can't really repurpose them. It's so difficult to remill them and stuff like that.
No,
and many of them they want to make out of what do you call this stuff? The stuff that's all poisonous that you put in it, like the shower is made out of. What's it called?
Oh,
oh my God. Not asbestos. What's the other one? It looks like asbestos though. What's it called? Oh my goodness. The fibers, the glass fibers. I'm getting close here. What's the word? The glass. Fiberglass. Glass fibers. Fiberglass. There we go. We got it. So we all know how poisonous and detrimental to the environment and to even your lungs.
So like, don't worry. They're just gonna end up sinking these things. Like, don't worry. Watch, it'll disappear. Just go straight down.
They do. I was watching somewhere out, and I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was either Ontario or Wayne County, where there's like this windmill graveyard.
Yeah,
where they got all of these fins buried by them, and I was like, wow, it's insane.
Yeah, not to mention there's one up in Tug Hill area too. There's this really big bunch of windmills, and he said, and I'm riding with my ex-girlfriend's dad the one day, and he's like, it used to be so beautiful here. He goes, now look at all there's dead birds along the whole route right there, and I'm just like, what's going on? He's like,
all the dead birds.
It was insane. He goes, look in the sky though. You don't see any birds, do you? I'm like, no, actually I don't right now. So
and one of the things that we need to look at, right, is and this has never really been studied, and I'm using quote fingers, you can't see me, has never really been studied, is what is the effects of changing the airstream, because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
When the winds and the fans start going, that's changing the current of the fluctuation of the winds. And then you talk about impact on the environment. What impact is that having, long term and short term?
Right. What's going on with the whales at one point? What's there some sort of thing going up in Maine and stuff with that? I don't even know. Who knows?
We're not even going to talk about that, or the echolocation, and bats, or the electromagnetic spectrum and the birds and. No. Don't talk about things that are important that might actually impact.
I'll glue my hand to that painting over there until someone talks about it.
Listen, right? Oh my goodness! Don't get me started on those climate. Well, what do they call the Stop Oil Now people?
Yeah, I just call them
the Dead Revolution or something like that.
Yeah, it's just a climate cult.
Some sort of some cross between the two. It's two different organizations.
And the leader is what's her name? Greta Thunberg.
Oh, Apocalypse Extinction or Extinction Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Those people and the red people. I can't remember the name of the other group, but it's these people are out there. End oil now. End oil now. Okay, fair enough. I hear you. But if we look at the actual science.
Yes.
Okay, if we look at the actual science, the emissions from carbon have been going down since the 70s.
Yes.
They've been going down consistently. One of the main things you hear them talk about is carbon. Bill Gates is invested in this company, and many other billionaires are invested in these companies that are in cutting down trees. They want to cut down millions and millions of trees.
Do you know how bad that is?
Right? Because the trees absorb the carbon.
Right?
But we can't talk about that.
And convert it. So
and they want to cut them down, and they want to bury them.
Yep.
Because they say that'll be better. Well, if you're cutting down all the trees, why wouldn't you turn that into stuff that people can build housing? I thought we had a housing shortage. I thought I need tables and chairs.
So we're going to bury them.
And stuff all
and then we're going to dim the sun.
We're going to bury them and dim the sun. You know, this is, and we laugh, but it's not funny.
But it's true.
It's not funny. This is real stuff.
People think this. Some of the most influential people.
Oh, it's not real. It's not real. You can look it up. I'm not going to sit here and share something that is a conspiracy theory. I'm going to tell you that is a fact. There is money that billions and millions of dollars, depending on what it is, like the carbon.
It's not like we read one post on X.
This is where the money is going. You got to follow the market. Follow the investment companies.
Follow what they're invested in, and you'll know what they're about to do next month. You'll know.
Follow BlackRock. Follow what's the other company? Oh my God, what's it called? Street. I don't know. There's like 3 big investment companies. I can't. It's
the Pelosi hedge fund.
Oh my goodness. But it's crazy. And if we don't stick to following what's going on with investments, then we're.
Insider trading can be done in Congress. So look at the tops in Congress of what they're invested in, and you're going to understand what's going to be going up, what's going to be going down. But then you're going to get hit with insider trading. So you can't do that.
Capital gains tax.
Right? You can't do that. They can. You can't.
So, but this is what we have to look at. we have to look at what is in the best interest of the American people.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward, how can we focus on what will be most beneficial to the American people? We have to stop listening to the extreme right or the extreme left.
Yep.
And the way I look at it, was it like 70% of the people in the nation are all in the middle? They're all
it's 60%. Well, you have actually it's a little less because you have, like I was saying about earlier about the when you see a poll, you'll see 30% of people approve of Biden's border policy. You're like, wait, what? Basically, that means nobody in the middle approves of it. You're always going to have a hardcore 30 left and a hardcore 30 right. That's not going to change. If it dips below that, then even people even sheep are seeing some stuff. But the point being is there is a bunch of people there in the middle that some may be Democrats, some may be Republican, but they're centrist, and a lot of them are independents, and that's who each politician, like presidential candidates, are fighting to reach right now. They know there's no point in reaching a hardcore progressive person who doesn't listen to anything anybody says. No. Why are you gonna angle towards them?
One of the important things that I say is all these polls are for crap.
Of course.
Okay, all of them. They say, oh, well, we interviewed a couple thousand people or 1,500 people or something, and that's supposed to represent the interests of the
right. And where was it?
Where were these people? Yeah. We interviewed these people on a college, on a liberal college. Okay, well
of course,
them on a liberal college, of course, it's going to skew left. If you're interviewing them in a conservative area, it's going to skew right.
Yes, of course.
And you're only interviewing a few thousand people, you might be able to take representative number from that area.
Yes.
You can't extrapolate that and say,
No, I always look at that number at the bottom. Always says that 1,002 people were contacted. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Isn't there like 6 million in that state? So
you understand what I'm saying? And it works on low scale, but once you start scaling it up, it's not really what it is.
No,
it doesn't give you an adequate
not.
picture.
It's not. It basically you have to combine or individually and see which ones are really the most important things. Watch all the news channels, see which ones are being talked about the most, and you're going to know what people are going to vote for, because most people have a small mind where they're going to say, I'm voting for this guy because of this. You're going to hear them say, you say, well, what about this? Oh no, I'm voting for him because of this. So it's like the most important is like that's what happened in 2022 with abortion.
Yeah.
Abortion took over, even though all the other things were dominated by Republicans, but didn't matter.
Well, we talked about this the other day, and I use abortion as a example. There was a great video, and you got to go watch it on YouTube. Babylon B did it, rebranding abortion.
Yeah,
they said it's rebranding. Deleting babies. Oh my goodness, it's a great little clip. It's 5 minutes long. It's funny as heck, but it's real.
Yeah,
it's real because they rebranded abortion, which is basically eradicating life. Okay, and they rebranded it as women's health care.
Yes.
And that is very concerning. And they were making the joke. They're like, well, but isn't it a baby? Isn't it a separate thing?
No, it's women's reproductive health care.
We're going to call it a clump of cells instead of calling it a baby. We got to dehumanize it. We're going to call it a fetus.
It's the word thing
instead
again.
Instead of a baby. Even though fetus means baby in Latin, they stopped teaching that in school years ago.
And then when they find that, they're going to be like, wait, it's not a fetus either.
Right. But a fetus is a baby in Latin. That's what it is. So it's.
But again, it's the word. Well, Marxism 101. It's like you control the language and the media. You control the population, and you can see there is a certain percentage of the population you do control with that. So
and I put up a post on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter. It's at Marcus 4 ROC. So at Marcus 4 ROC on Twitter. I put up a post there earlier, and it said essentially, I'm paraphrasing what I wrote there: erase the past, and then you get people to not know anything or have any basis.
Yep.
And then you brainwash them into what you want them to believe.
Correct. Yep.
And that's where we are with that. Because they've gotten rid of our whole past, and they're continuing to tear down statues and erase our founding fathers and all of our principles.
Everything that's happening right now has been done before, but people don't know that.
And this is what we see going forward with abortion. And this is a very, very firm talking point, especially in New York State. Abortion is a big thing, but abortion is already codified in law.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah,
The
of course,
Democrats
yeah.
have a super majority. It wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't under threat. Nothing was going
Well,
to
they're
happen.
passing bills for gay rights too, so
Well,
it's
well,
like,
but this is what I thought they were people.
right?
I thought gay people were
I mean,
people.
you thought,
I'm,
but
so I'm confused.
nope.
You know, I look at everybody as an individual
Yeah,
human. I think that they're people. They have the same rights as I have. I mean, if they get extra rights, I think I should get some extra rights. I deserve
You
more
think
rights.
that everyone just
I
get
deserve more rights.
everyone be equal? You think, but
I'm concerned. I'm concerned. But again, it goes back to policy, and we've got some stuff on the ballot. There's a ballot initiative that basically strips a lot of parental rights from people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This year on the back of the ballot in New York State. It doesn't.
They want to raise your kid. Governments want to raise your
They
kid.
want to raise their kid. They want to tell you what they can do, what they can't do, and it's basically the same thing is full of censorship on what you can't say.
Yes.
You can't. You know, if you say that somebody is this and they don't agree with it,
Mm.
that you're dehumanizing them or devaluing them, and now you're a criminal. Or
Yeah.
whatever the
Seriously.
case is.
Yeah.
And it's sad and it's scary. I think it's Illinois might have a law like that.
Yeah.
already.
Washington already
Is
does
it-
with
did
the
Washington have it?
children.
Yeah.
They take your children away and stuff. It's
California has it.
yes, exactly. I mean, it's crazy because whether people think, oh, that's free from the government. Anything that's free is also controlled by the government. So they control, like, oh, free college for everybody. Well, guess what? Now they control what they teach in that college.
Well,
Free health.
Did you see? Speaking of the control of the education system, did you see Kathy Hochul the other week? She put in that she's got media literacy that she's going to push
Yes,
into the
yes,
schools,
yes,
the
yes,
Department
yes.
of Homeland Security. We talked about that too here, and that's a very big thing, and it goes to your point
Yeah.
that when they control the things, they get to tell you what's going to be taught.
She's gonna eliminate drowning too.
It's very, very concerning. And we have to get back to understanding what's going on in politics. I know a lot of you guys out there are disheartened with what's going on. Don't be disheartened. Because the fact of the matter is, unless you're not going to live through tomorrow, we need to take hold of what's going on, and we need to do our best to change the direction and the course.
And don't let anybody, media, government, convince you that you can't do stuff because of anything, because of a certain thing. Well, guess what? You need our help because you can't do what this person can do. BS. It's as soon as you submit to that, you're a victim and you're done. You're not going to go anywhere, unfortunately. And it's a shame because that's when they smile and they're happy.
We as the American people are a strong lot. Okay. We come from people that are very diverse in background. We come from a revolutionary spirit. We come from strong people who foraged through the frontier, making their own way.
Yep.
We come from a history of people who broke out of the chains of slavery and still were able to accomplish monumental tasks in science and industry, regardless of the places that they
and we
come
have
from,
always
the
corrected our
background.
mistakes. We always move forward, evolved.
And we've continued to persevere forward no matter what's happened and all of the obstacles in our way. Do not let people out there tell you that you are a victim or tell you that you can't accomplish stuff. You can do whatever you set your mind to. And I don't want to sound like one of those
No,
people
seriously. But when you do screw up with stuff, don't let people also tell you that it's not your fault. It's that guy's fault. You know, take accountability for what you did and just move forward.
You have to understand that the government serves one purpose, and it is itself.
Yep.
Okay? It's supposed to serve
It's
you.
not supposed to be that
It's
way, but it
supposed
is.
to serve you, but it's serving itself. It's very self-serving, and it's self-perpetuating.
Yep.
And if you give it the ability to continue perpetuating itself, it will not go after your interests. It'll go after what's best for
Always.
it.
Yep.
And that's why we see the continued restriction of our freedoms. That's why we see the continued restriction of our rights. That's why we see the continued erasure of our liberties. And
Correct.
it's up to us to push forward in a positive way. And that's why we need to come to unite as a nation.
Yes.
We need to come together. The left and the right, the majority of us have the same ideals that we want America to be a country that is superior to what it is right now. It's just we disagree on how to get there.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that you have to share the same ideals.
No,
with
but
everybody.
educate yourself on
Yeah.
topics first of all before you make an opinion or a statement, especially.
And be willing to have open conversations.
Yes,
and
debate, friendly. I mean, healthy debate, because debate is what this country is founded on, and debate is what moves things forward. Without debate, you're just stagnant. So it makes no sense.
And I'm not going to tell you to be completely open-minded, but here's what I'm going to say about open-mindedness. Understanding the fact that you might hold a certain viewpoint or a certain principle to heart that somebody else does not hold in the same regard. You should understand that, and you should understand that even though somebody disagrees with something that you believe in, that they might still be able to have something that they can add to the conversation, or even change your mind and your thought
Correct.
process.
Yes, exactly.
Or add to the thought process that you already have.
You don't go into a debate with the sole focus on changing their mind. You got to realize that your mind could be changed too. I mean,
well, right, and that's part of the hard understanding that we have. A lot of people aren't open to that. They get really there's a word for it, I'm not able to remember it, but they get really tight when they hear something that challenges them and gives them a cognitive bias.
It's like they look for proof to prove it instead of looking for independent information to see what
bias,
it is.
Confirmation
yes,
bias.
yes, confirmation bias.
Yeah. So that's something that's very important that we have to recognize moving forward. Our society right now, the media is telling you that the other side is bad, the politicians are telling you that the other side is bad, and we have to realize that while we might not agree on the same issues and the same things, the fact of the matter is the majority of people just want to live and have the government leave them alone. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, most people just want to be able to live, raise a family, or do their own stuff that they want to do and continue to move forward and have the option of having success that's driven by what they want to do, or even just stay on the job and work the job that they've been working because that's what they're good at and that's what they like.
Some people want to put in endless hours and advance. Other people just want to go home to their family and work enough to support them and do this. It's your decision. This is America. You can be what you want to be, or stay what you want to stay, or whatever you want to do. That's the thing. Don't let somebody tell you have to do this, have to think this way, because you don't. It's that simple.
And that's one of the things that we want to push home as we get ready to close here today. I want to thank you for listening on The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. I encourage you, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on YouTube. We're all over the place, and you can check me out. I'm on Facebook and on YouTube too, Marcus C. Williams. You'll find me on YouTube or wherever. But as we continue this conversation, we want to open up this dialogue between the left, the right, the center, libertarians, Green Party, whoever, because we're going to need to unite together to push back against a repressive, tyrannical government that is not serving us as people and individuals.
Yep.
They are not pushing to unite America, even though we're the United States.
No, they're pushing to literally eliminate one side of America. So
exactly, and that's whatever side it may be.
I mean, Kathy wasn't even quiet about it. She said, "You can leave, get out of here."
If you're conservative, you can leave New York State or whatever the case is. And maybe that would be a good idea if we can stop the leftists from going to conservative.
Just stay here. What are you doing?
What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You want to divide the country up or whatever the case is. Even though there's no way to do that, I want to point that out.
Yeah.
And that's a very strong, firm point in the Constitution. That's what caused the Civil War.
Yeah, no kidding.
The Civil War was over states' rights. People be like, it was over slavery. Yes, slavery was a part of it, but more so it was about economics.
Correct.
Than the economics tied behind slavery and the fact that the government was trying to make states' rights subordinate to the federal government, and that is a problem of where we are right now, and we can never forget that. So as we are here on Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King said, he had a dream that we'd all sit at the table together and have a good old time and judge people on the basis of the content of their character, not their skin color and all this good stuff that people like to quote all the time. But are we there after his death? Because all I see is more division every day.
Yeah, let's start moving the right way we're moving before, because colorblind is the answer. It's not the problem, like it seems to be, like people seem to say it is lately. His dream's still alive amongst a lot of us. So
yeah, many people say that anybody that says that they're colorblind is a supremacist or whatever the case is. Bro, honestly, I do not care. Everybody, all of us have our own preferences and proclivities to certain things and to certain people and certain people groups, okay? And the fact of the matter is, we all are united under the fact that we are American citizens.
Exactly.
But they are trying to take that away from us.
Yep.
They don't want us to have any sense of national identity or national history. That's why they're erasing it, so that they can separate us and divide us more and more.
Yeah, they want you to only connect with the people who are just like you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and should sexual preference really matter in anything other than the bedroom? But it does, because that's what they're making sure it matters.
But they divide you every which way.
Yep.
Gender, sex, race, thoughts, TV programs, sports teams, you know, every single thing that they can, you know. And for me, I want to leave you guys with this message as we tie up here in the last 2 minutes of our show. I want to tell you, you matter. You are important. And I don't know if you feel that anybody else cares about you. I care about you. You are important to me. You do matter. And you can make a difference. For all of you out there struggling and finding it hard to push through the everyday, keep going. Keep going, because your push is a testimony to your life, and it might encourage other people. I know that things look dark in certain aspects and areas, but you can make it, and together.
And changes only happen if you make it happen. Remember that.
Yeah, and as we start to come together and work on uniting more and more, we understand that all of us as individuals are important as individuals, but together as the people of America, of the United States of America, we are all one. And I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in to The Divide today on WRFZ 106.3.
Thanks, guys.
Rochester Free Radio. Catch us next week, Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook. You can catch me on Facebook or YouTube. I'm Marcus C. Williams. I'm also on Twitter. And Brian, where can they find you?
You can catch me on Facebook, Brian McKenzie, or contact me on The Divide at The Divide Radio on Facebook, or you can just catch me running around the streets, I guess.
All right, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week, and you guys have a blessed one. Be blessed, be well, and remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, go all the way out to Canada, going to work this evening. Shit sucks. That's a good show, man. That was
Yes,
a real good
it
show, I
was.
thought. Real good.
It was a great
You hear me?
Yeah, I click this thing, and then this thing plays, and this thing doesn't play. Where it is? Oh, there it's doing something. Somebody did something.
Yeah, he's got it. I'll remote control for him. All right, but I'll tomorrow, right?
All right.
I gotta head out, though, get to work.
All right, brother. I'll catch you later. Be blessed and be well. All right, all of you guys. I'll catch you later. Be blessed, be well, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action.